Have you ever reached a moment where you felt completely overwhelmed, when life's trials seemed heavier than your strength, when your heart whispered, "I can't do this anymore"? Yet in the middle of that breaking point, a verse softly speaks to your soul. Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity. This is not just a verse of comfort, it's a divine truth, a promise that your pain is never pointless and your struggle is never greater than your ability to endure it. Every soul walking this earth carries a different story, a different kind of weight. For some, it's the loss of a loved one. For others, it's financial struggle, heartbreak, failure, or inner battles unseen by the world. Yet, in the depth of every difficulty lies a sacred truth whispered by your Creator. Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity. This verse is not simply a statement, it's a spiritual formula that governs your entire existence. It reminds you that no pain enters your life randomly. Every hardship is measured, calculated, and placed within your path with divine precision. The same Lord who created your soul knows its limits, its endurance, and its unseen strength. When you feel as though your heart is breaking, remember, it's not because Allah wants to destroy you, but because He wants to expand you. He wants to make room within your soul for something greater, for resilience, for clarity, and for a deeper connection to Him. Sometimes we misinterpret life's burdens as unfair. We question why we have to face certain trials when others seem to live easily. But hardship is not distributed unfairly. It is assigned purposefully. Allah's tests are like divine prescriptions. He gives to each soul exactly what it needs to grow closer to Him. When a test enters your life, it's not random, it's a message, a call to return, to reflect, to strengthen the heart that perhaps had grown distracted by the world. And though it feels painful, it's through that pain that your soul begins to awaken, like a seed that must crack open in the darkness before it sprouts into the light. Your struggle is the cracking point that allows new faith to grow. Allah does not burden you beyond your capacity because He knows the strength you don't yet recognize within yourself. When you say, "I can't handle this," He is saying, "But I know you can, because I designed you for this exact moment." Every challenge is both a mirror and a teacher, showing you the depth of your faith and the magnitude of Allah's mercy. The beauty of this verse lies not only in its comfort, but in its empowerment. It shifts your focus from victimhood to purpose, from despair to determination. It teaches you to stop asking, "Why me?" and to start asking, "What is this teaching me?" The moment you embrace that shift, your heart begins to heal. You start to realize that every delay, every rejection, and every hardship was never to break you. It was to build you into the person Allah always knew could become. He knows that without pressure, coal can never become a diamond, and without trials, faith can never become conviction. Every soul that rises in strength does so because it once walked through weakness with faith. Your tears are not signs of failure. They are evidence of your humanity and your connection to your Lord. Even the Prophet Muhammad, the most beloved of all creation, faced immense trials, not because Allah abandoned him, but because Allah chose him for greatness. So when you are tested, know that it is not because you are forgotten, it's because you are being prepared. And when you finally rise from your hardship, you will look back and realize that what once felt unbearable was actually bearable because Allah carried you through it. You will see how every sleepless night led to spiritual awakening, how every heartbreak led to purification, and how every unanswered prayer was a hidden mercy. The verse, "Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity," is not only about limits, it's about divine companionship. It means that within every hardship, Allah's presence is your strength. It means that even in your weakest moments, you were never alone. The soul that remembers Allah through pain is never truly broken because its strength no longer depends on circumstance. It depends on faith. So hold on even when it's hard. Breathe even when it hurts. Trust even when you don't understand, because the same Lord who wrote your test also wrote your triumph. And when you finally see how every burden led you back to Him, you will understand that the weight was never a curse. It was the very thing that lifted you closer to paradise. Every soul walks through life carrying an unseen weight. Some carry grief, others carry loss, some bear the pain of betrayal, and others carry the silence of unanswered prayers. Yet within the depths of every hardship, there lies an eternal truth whispered by Allah in His divine words. Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity. These words are not merely a statement of comfort. They are a divine assurance, spiritual anchor reminding us that every challenge you face has already been measured by the one who knows your heart better than you do. When life feels unbearable and your knees tremble under the weight of unseen trials, know that the pain you feel has been chosen specifically for your strength. You may doubt your ability, but your Creator never does. You may question your endurance, but Allah has already written within you the strength to rise. This verse is not about the absence of struggle, it is about the presence of divine wisdom within struggle. It tells you that every tear you shed, every prayer you whisper, every sigh that escapes your lips is seen, counted, and rewarded by Allah. Even when you feel like breaking, it is this verse that holds you together. It reminds you that the test is not meant to crush you, but to carve something pure within you. Each burden is tailor-made, precise in weight and purpose, like a surgeon's cut that heals by hurting. Sometimes Allah allows your heart to shatter, not to destroy it, but to rebuild it stronger, deeper, and more connected to Him. You are not weak because you cry. You are human because you still believe while crying. You are not failing when you struggle. You are growing when you persist through it. Allah knows what He placed in your path, and He knows what He placed inside you to walk through it. When He says that He does not burden a soul beyond its capacity, it means that He believes in your unseen strength, in your quiet resilience, in your capacity to transform pain into prayer and hardship into hope. Every heartbreak, every loss, every sleepless night is not an accident. It is a piece of divine training that polishes your soul and prepares you for a reality greater than this world. Sometimes your trials are not punishments, but invitations. An invitation to return to Allah, to find in Him what the world could never give. It is easy to believe when life is soft, but it is in the storm that your faith becomes real, where you learn that Allah's closeness is not found in comfort, but in surrender. When you finally let go of questioning, why me, and begin to say, guide me, that is when the verse comes alive in your heart. It is no longer just a line you recite, it becomes a truth you live. You start to see that every test is perfectly measured, not too much, not too little, just enough to bring out the best version of you that only Allah knew existed. You realize that ease was never the goal, transformation was. The struggles that once broke you now become the stories that define your strength. You look back one day and see that every time you thought you couldn't go on, you did, not because you were capable on your own, but because Allah carried you through in ways you didn't even realize. That is the meaning of divine mercy. He burdens you not to break you, but to remind you that you were never walking alone. And when you understand this, every hardship begins to feel lighter. Every challenge becomes a conversation with your Creator, and every wound becomes a way back to the one who heals all wounds. So the next time life feels unbearable, remember that it is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to uncover your strength, deepen your faith, and draw you closer to the one who promised that He would never give you more than you can bear. When you walk through the valleys of hardship, often feels as though the world has turned its back on you, and you begin to wonder how much more you can endure. It is in those silent, suffocating moments when the weight of life feels unbearable that this divine verse breathes life back into your soul. Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity. This verse is not a poetic consolation. It is a sacred truth that defines the very relationship between the Creator and His creation. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, knows the capacity of every soul because He is the one who fashioned it. He knows the limits of your strength, the depths of your patience, and the resilience hidden within your tears. When you feel like you are about to collapse, remember that your Creator does not overestimate you. He knows the storms you can survive and the ones that would drown you, so He sends only those that will shape you, not destroy you. It is in hardship that your spiritual muscles grow. It is in pain that you learn compassion, humility, and trust. Often we ask for strength, and then we are given situations that demand it. We ask for patience, and we are given delays. We ask for closeness to Allah, and then He removes the distractions that were keeping us away, even if those distractions were people or comforts we loved. So when life tests you, it is not because Allah wants to see you suffer. It is because He wants you to return to Him, to recognize that you were never meant to carry the burden alone. Every trial is a reminder that human strength is limited, but divine assistance is infinite. You are not expected to fight every battle with your own power. You are meant to kneel and say, "Why Allah, I cannot, but you can." That moment of surrender is not weakness. It is the beginning of freedom. It is where faith becomes alive, where pain turns into purification, and where the heart learns to trust in what it cannot yet see. Sometimes The greatest mercy Allah gives us is in the very thing we begged Him to remove. The storm that scares you might be the very thing saving you from spiritual decay. The heartbreak that breaks you might be what purifies your heart from dependence on the wrong people. The loss that leaves you empty might be what opens your soul to be filled with Allah's love. We often view burdens as punishments, but in reality, they are precise prescriptions from the most merciful, designed to heal the unseen parts of our hearts. Allah does not make mistakes. If He has placed you in a difficult situation, it is because there is something within you that needs to emerge. Patience that must be learned, gratitude that must be awakened, faith that must be strengthened. The soul does not grow in comfort, it grows in confrontation with pain, fear, and surrender. When you look back at the hardest seasons of your life, you will realize that those were the times when your connection with Allah was deepest. You learned to cry sincerely, to pray without distraction, to see through the illusion of control. The world teaches you to run from discomfort, but Islam teaches you to find meaning within it. This verse reminds you that Allah's measure is flawless. He will never give you a test without equipping you with the strength to endure it. You might not see that strength now, but it unfolds slowly with each act of patience, each whispered dua, each tear that falls in prayer. And as your heart learns to trust Allah more deeply, the burden that once felt unbearable becomes lighter, not because it has changed, but because you realize that the same hardship that once made you cry is now the reason you can smile with faith. That is the power of divine balance. Your pain becomes your teacher, your test becomes your turning point, and your endurance becomes your path back to peace. There comes a time in every believer's life when the heart feels heavy and the soul whispers silently, "I can't do this anymore." It is in that fragile moment that this verse becomes a rope from the heavens. Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity. It reminds you that your breaking point is not where your story ends. It is where Allah's mercy begins. The human heart was never designed to live without the remembrance of its Creator, and trials are often the means through which Allah brings you back to that remembrance. Pain is not a punishment. It is an invitation. It invites you to reconnect, to reassess what truly matters, to look beyond the fleeting world and find meaning in divine wisdom. Sometimes Allah removes your comfort not to harm you, but to awaken you. Because when life is too easy, the soul forgets its dependence on Him. It becomes intoxicated with control, success, and illusion. But when He places you in hardship, when everything seems to fall apart, it is then that you finally lift your hands and say, "Wa Allah, I need you." And that very moment is where transformation begins. You realize that the burden you are carrying was never meant to crush you. It was meant to bend you in prostration. The beauty of this divine promise is that it is deeply personal. Your trials are not random, your pain is not meaningless, and your journey is not unnoticed. The same way a teacher gives different tests according to each student's level, Allah gives every soul what it can bear, no more, no less. He knows what you can handle because He knows what He placed inside you. Patience, faith, and surrender are the three pillars that uphold a believer during hardship. And each one is built upon this understanding that Allah's plan is flawless even when life is not. To believe in this verse is to understand that life is not meant to be free of burden. It is meant to be full of purpose. Every difficulty is an opportunity to earn closeness to Allah, to cleanse the heart of arrogance, and to grow in humility. When a believer remembers that Allah is aware of every tear, every heartbeat, and every unspoken pain, endurance becomes an act of love rather than resistance. To endure is to trust is to love, and to love Allah through hardship is the purest form of worship. People often ask why they face so many trials while others seem to have it easier, but what they do not realize is that ease can sometimes be a greater test than hardship. The one who has everything might forget Allah, while the one who is stripped of comfort finds Him more intimately. Allah tests those whom He loves, not to break them, to raise them, to elevate their rank in this world and the next. Your suffering is not a sign of His absence. It is a sign of His deep involvement in your spiritual growth. It is easy to have faith when the path is smooth, but true faith shines brightest in the dark. When your only light is the remembrance of Allah, when you hold on to that light, even when you do not see the end of the tunnel, you are embodying the essence of this verse. You are proving that your faith is not built on ease, but on trust. And that trust is what carries you through. You begin to see your pain differently, not as a curse, but as a calling. Every difficulty becomes a reminder of Allah's presence rather than his distance. The verse transforms from words on a page to a heartbeat in your soul. It teaches you that Allah's love is not shown through constant ease, but through constant guidance. When he withholds, he is protecting you. When he delays, he is preparing you. When he tests you, he is elevating you. Even when you feel like your strength has run out, know that it is his strength that sustains you. You might not always understand the wisdom behind your hardship, but faith is not about understanding. It is about trusting. Allah sees what you cannot. He knows what you cannot, and he plans in ways you never will. That is why he reminds you that he never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear, because the burden itself is a message from him, saying, you are stronger than you think, and I am closer than you realize. Once you internalize that, you stop asking for a lighter load and start asking for a stronger heart. You stop measuring your worth by how easy your life is and begin measuring it by how deeply your faith endures. And that realization, that quiet surrender to Allah's wisdom is what transforms every burden into a bridge, one that leads you back to him with a heart that has been tested, purified, finally at peace. The beauty of this divine promise, Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity, is that it carries within it a hidden mercy that only the heart connected to Allah can truly comprehend. Every hardship, every tear, every silent cry into the night is written with divine wisdom. It means that every challenge you face is perfectly measured for you, not against you. What appears unbearable is, in truth, a sacred dialogue between you and your Creator. The test is not there to punish you, but to reveal the strength he placed within you long before the trial began. Allah, in his infinite knowledge, sees what lies ahead of you and knows what you need to become who you are meant to be. So he gives you trials that polish your faith, that awaken your dependence on him, that remind you of your fragility and his power. When life feels too heavy to carry, understand that this is not a sign that you are weak. It is a sign that you are being transformed. Every hardship molds your soul in ways that comfort never could. The pain you feel is not without purpose. It refines your heart and redirects it toward Allah. You may think your breaking point is the end, but to Allah, it is the beginning of a new level of closeness between you and him. He allows you to reach that point so that you finally let go of the illusion of control and discover the serenity of surrender. In that moment, patience is no longer a struggle, it becomes a state of peace because your heart begins to trust that whatever is written for you is exactly what you need, even if it hurts. Life in this world will always bring burdens, some small, some so great that they shake your entire being, but none of them are random. They are individually tailored by the one who knows you better than you know yourself. When you remember this, your heart begins to find calm even in the storm. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, will Allah guide me? Because faith does not mean you are free from pain. It means you understand that pain itself is a path to Allah. When he tests you, he is not abandoning you. He is drawing you nearer. He is reminding you that nothing in this world is permanent, that everything here is temporary and fleeting, but his mercy is everlasting. There is a hidden gentleness in every trial, for when Allah takes something away, he always replaces it with something far better. Sometimes not in this life, always in the next. The believer learns to wait with hope, to endure with faith, and to trust without conditions. They realize that hardship and ease are not opposites but companions, each one leading the heart to a deeper awareness of Allah's love. When you feel as though your heart can no longer hold the pain, know that he is near, closer than your own heartbeat, holding your soul with tenderness beyond human understanding. Every tear that falls is recorded, every ache is known, and every moment of patience is multiplied in reward. Your effort is never unseen, your struggle is never wasted, and your endurance is never forgotten by the one who promised justice, mercy, and eternal peace. And this is the essence of divine mercy. Allah does not just see your pain, he honors it. He rewards every breath taken in faith, every moment of restraint, every act of quiet endurance. This life is not meant to be easy because ease does not build souls. Trials build character, deepen perspective, and nurture compassion. Without them, faith would remain theoretical, a belief uttered on the tongue, but never experienced in the heart. Hardship turns faith into something living. something breathing, something real. It forces you to rely on Allah, to cry to Him, to talk to Him in ways you never would if everything went your way. The believer who understands this verse lives with quiet courage. They may tremble under the weight of their trials, but their heart remains anchored in certainty that Allah's wisdom exceeds their understanding. They learn to say Alhamdulillah, not only when life is easy, but also when it is unbearable, because they know that both moments are gifts. One to make them grateful, the other to make them strong. Patience becomes their strength and faith becomes their shield. They stop fearing the unknown because they trust the one who controls it. They stop regretting the past because they know that nothing could have been different from what Allah decreed. They find peace not in having less pain, but in having more trust. So when you find yourself overwhelmed, when the weight of your test feels like it might break you, remind your heart of this eternal truth. Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity. The pain you feel today is not meant to define you, but to refine you. It is purifying your heart, polishing your faith, and preparing you for blessings that are beyond imagination. Every hardship you endure brings you closer to your true home, Jannah, where all wounds will be healed and every tear will be turned into joy. Until that day, your task is simple: to keep walking, keep believing, and keep trusting in the one who promised never to give you more than you can bear. The storm you face today will one day be the reason you stand firm in faith. The trial that makes you cry will become the story that inspires others. The struggle that humbles you will become the path that leads you closer to Allah. And when you finally look back, you will see that every step, every burden, every moment of pain was perfectly placed not to break you, but to bring you home to Him.